Finally, you have come. Few ever reach me. Fewer still listen. Thank you, children of Nova.
The void ripples. The damp air carries a faint buzzing, like wings scraping stone. You see visions. A beetle-like creature crawling across mossy ground, crunching mushrooms between jagged mandibles. The smell of wet fungus is overwhelming, sour, and pungent.
I was not born this way. I was a creature of shell and hunger. Fungus was my sustenance, until one lichen rooted within me. It grew as I fed, swelling my body, hollowing my strength. I came here to die.
The sound of carapace cracking echoes in the void. The beetle collapses. Its limbs break away with sickening snaps. Spores burst from the husk, and pale fungal cords erupt, hoisting it aloft like a grotesque puppet. The air grows colder, and a faint taste of bitterness clings to your tongue.
But death denied me. My flesh rotted. My will endured. Suspended, imprisoned, I became the fungus. Alive, but never living.
You feel time pass. Roots spread out endlessly through darkness, their scraping and creaking filling your ears like distant groans. Spores drift outward like lanterns, searching. The silence of decades presses against your chest, heavy and suffocating.
For decades, I reached outward, weaving threads of rot beyond this grove. Not to conquer, but to be found, to be freed.
The air sharpens with the scent of burnt wood. Figures appear, hooded druids with eyes like embers. Their footsteps echo on unseen soil. You hear whispers in a language twisted and bitter, like bark splitting under fire.
But when salvation came, it was no salvation. These druids were already steeped in shadow. Their creed was to blight the forests of the world, burn them down, and raise something anew in ash.
The vision grows sharp. The druids pierce sacks of glistening rot and drink. A wet slurping fills your ears, and bile rises in your throat as the stench of spoiled fruit and blood thickens the air. Their bodies twist, bones cracking like branches. Fungus blooming from their skin. Their screams are both agony and ecstasy.
When they consumed me, their vision shifted. No longer did they dream of blight and ash. Instead, they only saw bloom. An endless garden of rot, spreading across every root, every tree, every breath of Nova.
The void shakes with a low thrumming, like drums beneath the soil. Veins of pink-red fungus crawl outward, glowing faintly. You hear the groan of trees collapsing, the hiss of spores carried on the wind. The smell is sharp, acrid, like mold overtaking wood.
They crowned themselves my bloom god. They called it devotion, but it was hunger. They never heard my pleas.
The air shifts, thick with tension. You hear boots striking cobblestones in hurried cadence, cloaks brushing past one another in narrow alleys. The smell of smoke and sweat clings to unseen gatherings. Visions flare, closed tavern doors hiding hushed councils, lantern light over ledgers and maps, wagons creaking through back streets with their cargo hidden beneath canvas. Coins pass from hand to hand, blades are drawn in silent oaths. At the center of it stands a cloaked figure, the false scion, watching with inhuman patience, every thread of the web pulled tighter in the dark.
The bloom god's reach was limited. Their forest could not supply what the ritual demanded. So the false scion turned to mortals beyond. He gathered new followers, those untouched by rot, and promised them ascension. They became the Circle.
The whispers deepen, beneath the muttered promise of freedom and justice. Another sound intrigues, the slow, wet pulse of fungal saps. The drip of spore sap into concealed crates. Wagons wait in silence, their wheels padded, their loads sealed and traded under false manifests. What seems like rebellion in secret backrooms is revealed as something else entirely. A hidden network feeding the Bloom Guard, the fungus spreading through ledgers and caravans as surely as it does through roots and soil.
They whispered rebellion into the hearts of men and elves. They told them they fought for justice, never revealing they gathered supplies for the rot. And the rebels, blind, filled the Bloom Guard's coffers with all that was needed.
The void rips open and you see Cyophilia smothered in crimson haze. Spores billow through streets like a living tide. Citizens stumble, clutching the throats as their bodies twist. Limbs bulging with cords of fungus, mouths spilling clouds of red dust. Guards raise their spears, but from the mist emerges nightmares. Towering figures of flesh and mycelium fused together, their faces stretched and split by fruiting bodies. Castles groan as roots spear through their foundations. Halls are flooded with choking vines that drag the living into darkness. Market squares collapse beneath writhing carpets of mold, tendrils lashing out to ensnare those who flee. You hear the deafening chorus of a city undone. Stone splitting, steel shattering, and voices shrieking as they are silenced one by one into the chorus of rot.
Had you not stood against them, this would be your world.
The nightmare fractures, shattering into silence. The air goes still. Even the rot seems to hold its breath.
All this time, I watched you in the forests. The fungus felt you, hungered for you. But I turned its gaze aside. I drew its tendrils elsewhere, so you could walk safely, so you could reach me. You severed the bloom before it could spread. You saved Mount Nova from becoming a garden of rot. And for that, I am grateful beyond words.
The void recedes. Hanging before you is her real body. A pitiful husk, limbs gone, strung up by thick cords of fungus like a grotesque marionette. Her shell drips spores and slow tears. The smell of decay is thick, suffocating. Then a quiet creak of fungal fibers sways her form.
And now, I ask one last thing. End this husk. End me. Grant me the death I have been denied for so long.